20 Norwood Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame. My name is Todd Sledge and I will be your host for today's events, and it is my privilege to welcome you to the Radisson Hotel here in Cincinnati, Ohio for our annual Softball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It is now time to honor the individuals who we are here today this afternoon to celebrate their accomplishments of times past. As I call out the inductees' names, if they would stand after hearing their name called and remain standing until the last inductee's name is read. Please hold all of your applauses until all the names have been read in this order. It is now my pleasure to introduce the 2020 inductees into the Norwood Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame. In the senior player category, Bob Bosse. In the player manager sponsor category, Jay Hopkins. In the umpire category, Bob Lipsky. Manager sponsor category, Steve McCauley. Male player category, Gary Nelson. Also in the male player category, Brad Reckhart. And senior player category, Kathy Sowers. If you would welcome our 2020 class in the Greater Cincinnati Hall of Fame. That was the applause for the microphone working. Thank you. And now, before we have dinner and commence with our ceremony, I'd like to recognize some of the accomplishments of various players and teams from the area from the 2019 season. If your name is called, please stand. Kevin Forwith and Tina Forwith. Premier Services T.G. Brand won the USSSA A World Series this past September in Viera, Florida. Colleen Needham, Ohio Cardinals senior team, won the SBA World Championships in Dalton, Georgia in the 70 age bracket. This was the first 70 age group tournament for this team that went undefeated, and Colleen Needham was selected as Coach of the Year. This same team in November in the ISSA Winter World Championships was runner-up to Fun Bunch, the same team that they beat when they won the SBA World Championships as well. I also have some of the members, if your name is called, please stand, from that Ohio Cardinals All-Tournament team. Jan Dieters, Jan Worley, Rainey Fitzgerald, Kathy Fletcher, Kathy Sowers, Peggy Meacham, and of course Colleen Needham as the coach. Some further accomplishments: Tim Barker, Leo Osterday, and Billy Brown, with their senior team, McDowell & Sons, based out of Indiana, repeated their championship play in the ISSA 60 and over World Tournament that they won last year. They won again this year. In November in Daytona Beach, where they had a record of 7-0, and this team's base percentage was .840. I would consider that getting it done. They also won the NSA 60 and over in O'Fallon, Illinois, so congratulations to that group as well. And then Gary Trebell, Chuck Kenny. I know, Chuck, I'm missing somebody. If you were a member of the Belly's Living Legend CK Painting Headlines team, they won the 40 and over GSL World Championship in Cincinnati, Ohio this past October. So congratulations to that group of individuals. And then Brian Wegman and Brad Reckhart, they finished runner-up in the USSSA Men's Major World Series here this past September in Viera, Florida. Also, my partner in crime, Andy Larkins, and myself, we were fortunate to take a young group of men from Headline Sportswear team. We finished 4th against my man over there, Kevin, in the Men's USSSA A World Series this past September in Florida. So great local accomplishments. Let's give all these players and teams a round of applause. And now we'd like to observe a moment of silence for some of our softball friends who have passed away this last year and recent. Each of the names I'm about to call are Hall of Fame members. Dick Thielmeyer, Pat Wright, Rosie Carell, and Carl Nageleisen. We could please honor them with a moment of silence. Thank you very much. And now for the balance of our afternoon, we will help launch the 2020 softball season by looking at the stars of these past seasons past, as our softball community bestows its highest possible honor on 6 area legends today. Today we will immortalize 6 more individuals whose achievements and contributions to the game have brought fame and honor both to themselves and to the greater Cincinnati softball community. Our format this afternoon will be similar to what we have done in years past. After dinner, we will introduce some special guests, our current Hall of Fame members, and our sponsors, and then begin our introduction ceremony. After the banquet, you will have an opportunity to congratulate our new Hall of Famers. Then we will have a brief photo session. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Robert Mahaffey to come to the podium and lead us in our invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for being with us this morning, this afternoon. Pray that you would bless dinner. Thank you for each person that was able to gather with us and those that weren't. I would like to bless the ceremonies and all of the accomplishments that are being recognized today, and most importantly, the family and friends that have gathered with us. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Robert. Well, I see our dinner staff is ready. Dinner is now ready. Please wait for the great staff here at the Radisson Hotel as they will dismiss you by table to enjoy your meal here today. And thanks, and I will be back shortly to start things back up. Enjoy your afternoon meal. Before I do, as always, there are things that you don't. One of the great things about the Hall of Fame is you see people that you don't see throughout the year, and you get to catch up. So there were a couple more accomplishments that I missed, and I'm going to mention that from local teams. But I also miss another one of our Hall of Famers who did pass away this past year, and that was Mr. Donnie Holton. So if you can keep him in your thoughts, along with all those others that I mentioned this afternoon. I'd like to acknowledge what I mentioned earlier about Belly's CK Painting headlines. Team winning the 40 and over. That one of their players is also here is Ken Ball. I know Kenny's here somewhere as well. Tony Payne also in attendance with the Premier Services TG from their championship in UAAA World. Tony, thanks for coming. Also in the back of the room, Dave Kessler, Brad Tabler, Robert Mahaffey. Men's AA Precision team finished second in the men's AA World. Congratulations to you guys as well. Also on our women's side of the program, Belly's women's team. Great season for them last year. They were the champions in the WSL World Series in Panama City, and they also finished third in the next following weekend in the UAAA Women's World. So congratulations to those folks. I think, MJ, you're part of all that. No? It was a part of that. Why did I think that?
I'm retired.
You're retired? All right. And now I would like to acknowledge a few people who are here representing our title sponsor, Sorrento's. Now known as Sorrento's Italian Joint. If you haven't been there, if you didn't get a chance to get out there Friday night, and what they've done with that historic establishment is fantastic, and they carry that tradition forward. With Sorrento's is a group of folks, General Manager Steve Bymashi, and Assistant General Manager Tori Meeker and her boyfriend Jordan Fleichen. Would you all please stand and applause for our great sponsors with Sorrento's Italian Joint. Steve, before you get comfortable, I'd like to ask you to come up to the podium. While Steve is making his way up here, we want to mention that it is Sorrento's financial support that helps us provide the rings for all of our Hall of Fame members, and our tickets and programs, plaques, and the cake that you're enjoying here for dessert. Also, Steve, thank you, as I mentioned, for hosting the Friday night reception, which is always a great atmosphere. I understand there were 65 to 70 people that were able to attend that night. It's a great reunion. So again, on behalf of our committee's appreciation for your support, I'd like to offer you this token of appreciation.
I'll keep it short. That felt more like 1,000 people on Friday night, so thanks so much for everybody that came out. We had a blast. Yeah, the remodel, everything's been great. If you haven't been out there, it's beautiful at Bronson Trevi, the owner's done. Sorrento's is just really excited to continue the partnership and sponsor, hopefully for many more years to come. So thanks for all your support. And any of you get 10% off anytime you come in. Just say you're part of the hall and we'll give you 10% off every time. So hopefully we'll see you this year.
Now the next order of business is to recognize our program sponsors who make this event possible each and every year and provide our Hall of Fame members as well as with their complimentary dinners and tickets for this event. We would like to mention our sponsors first who are not here, then those who are present, and ask that those sponsors who are here to stand and remain standing and ask for everyone to please hold their applause until the end of the list is read. For our gold sponsors, All-in-One Apparel and Awards, Cincinnati, Ohio. Another gold sponsor, Work Sports, out of St. Louis, Missouri. Platinum sponsors, Heidelberg Distributing, and also Colping Park. If you could give us a round of applause for those who could not make it here. And now our sponsors who were able to join us today, and if you would, please stand and remain standing. And if everyone could hold your applause until everyone has been recognized and introduced. Billy Softball Teams, Gary Trebell. Bobcat Enterprises, Bernie Gierach. Easton Sports, Brian Wegman. Fry's Cafe, Billy Jackson. Table 99. Gary Trebell at Hurlinger Chevrolet, Gary Trebell. Louisville Slugger, Robert Mahaffey. Mike and Sports, Katie Seaman Wazalewski. Todd and Amy Sledge. And UA Local 392 National Softball Tournament, Rex Kern. Those are our gold sponsors. And for our platinum sponsors, 3rd Street Financial, Robert Mahaffey. Cincinnati Tri-State USSSA Fast Pitch, David and Heather Maury. Got it right, after I've known him for a long time. Cincysoftball.com, Andy Larkins and Todd Sledge. DCM Sports, Courtney Maury. EAP, Bob Shad. Expressway Park in memory of Max Dixon, Bob Owens. Freeze Concrete, Jim Freeze. Headline Sportswear, Andy Larkins. Kenton Lake Sports Complex, or Sportsplex, Bill Martz. Colping Park, Dave McCann. Mid-America Ball Yard, Brian and Bridget Wegman. River City Sports Complexes, Nikki and Semino Wazalewski. Say that a bunch of times. USA Softball Ohio, Jerry and Dee Fick. And Joseph Chevrolet, Dave Nieheisel. Let's give these folks a round of applause. All right, and if you purchased a split the pot ticket, we are going to do that right now. So if you have a blue ticket, Dave, how much was split the pot? Do you know, my man? $463. All right, here we go. Number 587-271. 587-271. All the way in the back. We got somebody back there in the pink. Come on up here and collect your winnings.
He probably wrote that ticket with black marker.
He said he wanted his own
You'll be off tomorrow.
I'm off on Mondays anyway.
And Tuesday.
All right, now it's my great pleasure to introduce our Hall of Fame members who are here present with us today. And I would like to remind our new inductees that from now on, as you join this club, we expect you to show the same kind of support for the future inductee classes in the future. We would like to ask for each inductee to stand when your name is called and remain standing until everyone has been introduced. And if everyone could again hold their applause until the end of all of our Hall of Fame previous inductees. Class of 1985, Norma Ante and Donna Wolf. 1988, Jan Dieters and Tom Taylor. 1990, Jim Kuhn. 1991, Carol Karajev and Ricky Lenz. 1992, Leo Osterday. 1993, Davey Johnson and V.K. Lehman. 1994, Tom Rowan. 1995, Ron Baird. 1996, Mike Lefevre. Also in 1996, Lee Sledge. 1998, Butch Hayes and Tony Salamone. 1999, Jim Nagelheisen and Brenda Ryan. 2000, Denver Gabbard and Joe Karajev. 2002, Marty Monterosa. 2003, Jack Collins. 2004, Galen Kelly, Mickey McMullen, and MJ Rance. 2005, Kevin Burkhofer. 2006, Dave Beamer, Ken Ewald, and Carol Smith. 2007, Mark Huber, Mike Kennett, and Jerry Meyer. 2008, Gary Mounts, Conley Needham, and Dave Neuheisel. 2009, Dan DeClaire, Dick Ernst, Jerry Fick, Randy Lewis, and Dale Overman. 2010, Tim Barker, Marvin Doyle, and Teresa Shepard. 2011, Rainey Fitzgerald, Brian May, Bob Owens, Pat Shanks, and Jim Wessel. 2012, Chuck Atha, Gary Scaringi, Dave Watanabe. 2013, Bobby Hayes, Joe Penwell, Butch Whitaker, and Chris Winter. 2014, Jeff Click, Bob Mason, Mike Smith, Jim Spellbrink, and John Tomlinson. 2015, Jason Resch, Walter Schroyer, and Jan Worley. 2016, Jack Hatter, John Jameson, Bob Shad, and Aaron Smith. 2017, Bill Brown. 2018, Jim Freeze, Dave Maury, Johnny Miller, Bob Nath, and Carol Popogel. In 2019, Billy Jackson, Andy Larkins, and Norm Stafford. Folks, big round of applause for all of our my great pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies for today. Many of us in this room recognize Jeff from his work on Fox Sports, Ohio, covering and bringing the Cincinnati Reds to many family rooms during the spring and summer months, and also a lot of UK sports and various other things. It is my great pleasure, as always each year, it is great to have Jeff Pecoro, our Master of Ceremonies from Fox Sports, Ohio, to do our Hall of Fame inductions. Jeff?
Various other things, like not the picture on the wall. Get the post office, right? I don't know. What we should do too is just everybody that's not a Hall of Famer stand up, because we only got 7 left. I do have some kind of bad news to start this thing. I don't know if any of y'all have heard, but it's just coming over the wire that Kobe Bryant, great, obviously, basketball players, died in a helicopter crash today out in California. So life is fleeting, unfortunately. So I do want to talk just a quick minute. I know all you guys, I just got back from out in Arizona doing Reds Fantasy Camp out there, and a lot of the players and stuff are starting to get out there. And I think this stuff affects softball as well as baseball, not Stein stealing, but these devices, analytics, it's absolutely amazing. It's changing the face of baseball and softball as we know it. If you haven't used one of these machines, it's actually pretty cool. There's a place that we go to over here in Northern Kentucky. I live over in Northern Kentucky. It's called HITS. It's over on 17. And it's indoor batting cages. They've got indoor, but they have the Repsoda machine, if you've ever used it. What it does for any baseball, from little kids, softball, baseball, fast pitch, whatever, it tracks everything. Analytics is such a big part of sports today. It gives you now, it's kind of funny because we were all taught growing up in baseball, you hit down on the ball, right? Hit down on the ball and through it, keep your bat level through the zone. It's a little bit different in softball because you have to create some angles. But so this tells you, the Repsoda machine tells you what the exit speed is. So when the ball leaves the bat, softball or baseball, it tells you the spin rate. If you get top spin on the ball or underspin on the ball, which you don't want, you want the top spin on it. But it basically analyzes everything about the swing. And they're using it all the way from kids 10, 11, 12 years old who understand it better than we do because obviously they play with devices all the time. But it's just amazing what analytics has done. And they also have the Pitch FX machine. And the Pitch FX machine is basically, it's just a pitch tracking system. It tracks the velocity, the strike percentages, swing percentages, whiff percentages, vertical, horizontal break. But all this now is a part of baseball and softball as we know it. It's just changing the face of it. We were out there, they had a pitching summit. So what the Reds have done is, there's this place out in Seattle called Driveline. And this is a thing that a lot of these pitchers have gone to in the last couple of years, and it's a big analytical house. You go in there and it's this big, gym basically. They have a bunch of pitching mounts and stuff, and it tracks everything. There's cameras everywhere, and it tracks everything about a pitcher. So for instance, 3 years ago, Justin Verlander is one of the great pitchers in Major League Baseball, threw a 4-seam fastball, which means, and I know you all know, with the seams, and he threw that almost 70% of his pitches. After going to Driveline, the guy's he's going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot. They told him, don't throw your 4-seamer anymore, throw your 2-seamer. Spin ratio is higher, spin rate's higher, your strikeout. He goes, I don't like the 2-seamer, I like the 4-seamer. They said, analytics, the numbers say your 2-seamer's better than your 4-seamer. Last 2 years, he doesn't throw the 4-seamer at all anymore. It's now all 2-seamers in his curveball and stuff, and look what he's done the last couple of years. So Garrett Cole's another guy that went in there, and Cy Young Award winners, these guys. It's absolutely amazing. So the Reds hired the guy that started this Driveline. He is now the head of all of our pitching. So all of our pitchers and pitching coaches, from rookie ball all the way through the majors, now use the Pitch FX machine and the Repsoda machine. It's everywhere, and it's just another tool that these managers have at their disposal, pitching coaches. The San Francisco 49ers in football were the first team to use this analytic type stuff in football. So every time the San Francisco's head coach calls the plays, he's the play caller. Well, you can talk in the microphone until 10 seconds are left. So the quarterback can hear everything until there's 10 seconds left on the play clock. So you're talking to him, you're saying, all right, look, they're man-to-man, so we're going to throw blah, 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 blah. So when the coach upstairs calls down the play, what he likes, there's an analytical guy that's back there on the computer and tells him before 10 seconds are up the percentage. So when he calls red, right, zebra, flare, they say that's got a 68% chance of working against his defense. It's absolutely amazing. So that's in his head, and he tells the quarterback, let's run this play. It's to me, it's mind-boggling. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys, and if you have a chance to use one of those machines, it's actually pretty cool. If you're having trouble popping the ball up more or hitting ground balls, it's just telling you what the angle is when your bat's beating the ball. It's called launch angle. That's the biggest thing. Everything now is spin ratio in pitching and launch angle in hitting, in both baseball and softball. To me, it's mind-boggling to me. Remember, it's always keep your elbow up. Don't drop that back shoulder. You're going to pop it. It tells you exactly what to do. And these young kids are learning at 10, 11, 12 years old. So they're going to be better than any of us ever thought we were going to be. So I just thought that was kind of neat. That's something that the Reds are using now, as most of the teams are in baseball. And with the pitching that the Reds have, I think that's going to be a big lift for them this year. Their pitching, especially getting Miley, it's going to do them a lot of good. And they're still trying to get one more player. They want to get a big bat in the outfield. They're not set on Aristides and Wright. He had a great month. But pitchers learn. They'll have a book on him now. They'll pitch him differently. How can he respond? Looks like Nick might not be ready by the time spring training ends. I think it'll be interesting. He just started swinging down in spring training, so Cincysoftball might not be ready. Shogo, the kid they got from Japan, has always played center field, but he said he'll play wherever they want him to play except catcher, which is a great attitude to have. This kid was over 300 hitter lifetime, 370 on base, so you hope that a lot of those numbers can travel to the major leagues as well. So it's going to be exciting. They tried to get Ozuna. He turned down a 3-year offer from the Reds. So it's going to be interesting who they're still. Nick Castellanos, I think is how you say his last name, is the guy that they're trying to get. They want to get one more bat in the outfield, but Moustakas is going to be a huge help in the batting order. It takes a lot of the pressure off Joey, and Joey's going to be 37 years old, so he's tailing off a little bit. So they're trying to find some guys that can help him in the meat of that lineup. So it's going to be an interesting year, but I think this team is going to be carried by their pitching staff. All right. I know you don't want to hear any more about me. You want to hear about the inductees. So let's bring up the first one. Put my glasses on so I can read this. Our first inductee today will be in the umpire category, Bob Lipsky of Hamilton. This time we'd like to introduce Bob's wife, Sheila. Sheila, could you please stand? Wherever she is, over here on the left. Thank you. And if there's anyone else here today for Bob, we'd also like you to stand up, ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Bob Lipsky. So here to share some of the insights on Bob's career this afternoon is his longtime friend and fellow umpire, Mr. Terry Peters. It's in the bathroom, Vivian.
We can't hear you, man.
Good afternoon. I hate public speaking, that's pretty obvious, but at first when Bob asked me to introduce him, I didn't want to speak in front of a crowd, but then I realized, I probably know about half of you, which unfortunately means I probably ejected about a third of you. It's just hard to believe as many games as Bob did, 17,500 games. It's just unbelievable. One of the things I respect most about him is during training classes, he walked the walk when he was an umpire. He was always professional in uniform, shoes were always polished. His training classes at Expressway inspired me. He even, wrote his own lips tips, which is over there, some of them. It went in further than the rules. It went into detail as far as like game management, hustle, being professional. And of course, he was nicknamed 7-Up Man by Smitty, I believe it is, about a strike zone. He said that the red dot on the 7-Up lid was as wide as a strike zone. In his career, he umpired 2 World Series, was a pipe fitter UIC for 4 years, and umped over 500 state and national tournaments. Always hustling, always being professional. One of his pet peeves was hustle. If he didn't, that was the one aspect of the game you can always control as an umpire. He was also known for Mike Folks' auto body versus Steve's drywall. Some of the Folks guys were giving him a little bit of heck, and he sent all the players in the dugout to the shelter Expressway. And when they needed a sub, they had to go get one. He was District 9 UIC for many years, trained at Expressway and many national clinics. He was a District 9 Rookie of the Year in '88 and District 9 Umpire of the Year in '97. Okay, since I've been, talking really good about him, I have to give him a little dirt. When we had our training classes at Expressway, there was a bag of towels, and he looks over and he grabs them, and he goes, "Well, I guess they wanted me to take them since they left them here." So, ladies and gentlemen, hide your silverware. It's an honor to introduce my friend and mentor, Bob Lipsky.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bob Lipsky into the Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Terry, for that wonderful introduction. Would have been nice if you stood up here at least. Everybody can see you. Good afternoon to everybody here, and thank you for coming out today, showing support not only to us being inducted, but also to everyone else previously elected to the Norwood Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame. I personally want to thank Norwood Sorrento's and all the other sponsors of this hall. A big thank you to the nominating committee and all the voting members who elected me. As an umpire, you always want to be an impartial part of the game and you want to go unnoticed. Thank you for noticing me. But Betty and Bob Owens, a special thank you for believing in and supporting me. I would have loved for Mona and Max to have been here also, but they're in my thoughts and prayers all the time. Todd Sledge and Mark Linneman, you guys are the best. You are the faces of softball, both past, present, and in the future. I was taught how to umpire from many familiar names to this hall, and it includes, in no special order, Rick Robertson, Dale Davidson, Jerry Pannoni, Ray Vaughn, Wayne Rust, Gary Markham, Myra Burwell, Bob Owens, Dave Maury, Jerry Meyer, John Martin, Eric Rice, Rick Vanover, Scott Coonan, Terry Peters, Mike McNutt, Mike Bostick, Bob Bricking, Ken Grosheim, Rodney Howard, and Jim Smith, Smitty. Smitty was mentioned before. He trained to be a major league umpire, and we discussed plays and situations daily. Between Smitty and Wayne Rust, I learned from the best. Fast pitch was never my forte, but we had Mike McNutt at Expressway Park always to teach the umpires fast pitch. So everybody played a big part in the success of the umpires. Every umpire I worked with or watched, I learned something from. A good umpire never stops learning. I don't know if Homer Matheny or Kevin Blanton are in here. You may not have known it, but your input to the umpires was very appreciated. They would come in and speak to the umpires and tell them what they thought umpires should be doing differently. I also want to give a special shout out to 3 umpires needing our prayers right now for better health. John Estes, Marty Tarter, and Bob Young. Bob Young is a good friend of mine, a fellow player, and an umpire who also worked at Crosley Field for the Reds. And they could all use your prayers right now. When I umpired and players wanted to discuss a situation properly with me, I always let them speak their mind. Afterward, I would explain to them what I saw and why I made the call I did. That worked for me. Every umpire has their own way, but I enjoyed letting players speak their mind. There was no such thing as a make-up call, nor did I ever hold a grudge. If I had to eject a player in a game, he could be on my field the next game. I wouldn't even recognize them. I loved explaining rules to anyone willing to listen. When given the opportunity to teach the umpires, I was in heaven. I umpired at every ballpark that would have me and loved all levels and types of the game. It was never a job, just an extended workout for me. Some people here, I want to mention Bobby Nath. Seeing you here just reminds me how classy and wonderful most players were. There's a lot of other classy people here, but Bobby Nath just stood out to me. John Tomlinson, Dave Watanabe, Colleen Needham, the classiest team managers you can ask for. Never had a loud word or got in your face. They just discussed things properly with you. Leo Osterday, one of the most competitive players I had ever umpired. He was all out all the time, and he let you know if he didn't agree with you. A super special thank you to my wife Sheila. Up to 5 nights a week and every weekend, she never tried to put restrictions on my passion to umpire. Thank God that I found such a wonderful partner in life, and she also shared my love of all sports. When I came home, sports were on the TV. I love you very much. To all the other umpires, or members of this Hall of Fame, you are all legends. Any of you I had the honor to umpire your games or even watch your games, you were the best and you still are. The song Forever Young refers to all of you here. Thank you.
Inductee this afternoon will be in the senior player category, Mr. Bob Bosse. This time we'd like to introduce some of Bob's family members who are here this afternoon to share this special occasion. We'll ask you to please stand up when I call your name. Bob's wife, Ginny. His daughter-in-law and son-in-law, Tracy and Todd Whitney. Grandchildren, Abby, Ava, and Tyler. His daughter, Tina, Maddie. If there's anyone else here today to honor Bob, we'd also like to invite you to stand, ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Bob Bosse. Now here to share some of his thoughts about Bob's career this afternoon, his longtime friend and teammate, and 2006 inductee into the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, Mr. Dave Beamer.
Thank you very much. To my friends, Dave, everything I say would be a true story. Very short. I'm going to give you just an idea. Last year was Bobby's 60th year in softball. 60 years playing softball. I look around here, Bobby. There are many people here who are 60 years old. And I'll just give you, these are the only stats I'm going to talk about. Because in here, if you open this up and you want to see why he's into the Hall of Fame, read this. Talk about all world, read that. It says. This, if Bobby plays, if Bobby had played for 60 years, okay, which he has, and during the course of the year, they play 80 games. So here's his stat. Bobby's played 60 years. They had 80 games, and he did that for his entire career. His batting hits would be 4,800. I'd say that a little low, not the hits. I'd say the amount of time. So that's the low part. The second thing I would simply say, if Bobby had 2 hits in his career only per game, he had 9,600 hits. Now, I think, and I know those are accurate, except I think they're not near high enough, but I thought I'd share that in. Bobby's got inducted to the Hall of Fame. He called me October, I think it was, of 2018, and he said, I'm filling out my application for the Hall of Fame. I've been trying to get him to do it for 4 or 5 years. So he's filling his application out, and he asked me to come over, and we looked it over. It's here. That's what's in there. Bob Bosse deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He is in the Hall of Fame. That's all I gotta say. Bob, it's congratulations to that. Last thing I can say, to the Hall of Fame committee. If you're on the Hall of Fame committee and you voted that Bob Bosse be in the Hall of Fame, I will tell you what, here's what I give you. If you think about the sport, here's what you did. You hit a grand slam. Because he is a grand slam guy, and grand slam is the best compliment you can probably tell anybody. He's the best pitcher I've ever played with. Last thing, if I could say one thing about Bobby Bosse, describe Bobby Bosse in one word. One word. Bobby Bosse is a winner. If you want to play on a team, of course you get the old. But if you want to play on a team, and have the opportunity to play on a team, and Bobby's pitching, you'll win. Teams, we're playing, of course, 60s and 70s now. The teams that Bobby pitched for, and there's only in the 60 and up that we played only on 4 teams. When you go back and talk to some of the guys, I said, is there any difference in the team you're playing with now? Yeah. So what's that? We don't win as much as we used to. We miss Bobby. Bobby Bosse.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bob Bosse to the Sorrento Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
Wow, what a great day it is. It only took 60 years to get here, and I'm still playing at 77 years old. I would like to thank Norwood Sorrento, Cincinnati Hall of Fame for everything they do and everybody that helps Sorrento's Hall of Fame. And I have a special thanks to Mark Linderman, who put up with me through the last couple months because I don't have a computer. And also a special thanks to Dick Ernst, Mr. Senior Softball, who helped senior softball throughout the years and still works at senior softball. I'd like to thank my family, Tina, Tracy, and Todd, and the kids, Abby, Haven, for being here, and a lot of other people to thank, but too many to name. I want to start out to say I'm not going to talk about stats, but I would like to talk about all the friends I've made. I know if I talk about stats, the Hall of Fame would have second thoughts. If they found out I did not hit one home run in my 60-some years until I was 77 years old. Telling how softball affected my life. When I was a senior in high school, my senior year, we'd go to school a whole year. We'd go to school 2 weeks and we would work 2 weeks. It was called Central High School, co-op school. We had 8 of us work at a place called the Mississippi Valley Barge Line for 8 months. And then the union found out we were making just as much money as the other workers, and they laid us all off. When we got back to school, the coordinator says, I have 4 of you that I want you to go to work at a place called the Sheffer Corporation in Laughlin, Ohio. I said, I would not drive that far for 4 months. The coordinator said, if you want to pass high school, you're going to go that far. So on that Monday, the 4 of us went out to Sheffer Corporation. We were sitting in the personnel manager filling out all the paperwork. And the personnel manager says, by the way, does any of you guys play softball? I said, well, I do. He says, well, we play in an industrial league on Thursday nights. He said, why don't you come out and play? I started at Sheffers in 1961 and retired 38 years later from Sheffers. I also played with my cousin Glenn with the Northside KSC as a package deal for about 35 years. It was all about family. We would plan our vacations around the state and the national tournaments. And there's 3 special guys that I'd like to announce who helped manage the team for them 35 years. It's Ray Tempe, Joe Hammore, and Jerry Ankenbauer. Then Glenn and I played with a team called the Hill and Griffin as a package deal, and it was a great time. And that was the first time that I got to pitch, because the pitcher that we had all of a sudden got locked up and couldn't throw strikes. So I started pitching, I loved it, and I've been pitching ever since. When I turned 50, we found out about senior softball. We played with Clyde Stafford, Hall of Famer, as a package deal for Joseph Chevrolet. Clyde always wanted to play 50 ball, and Glenn and I wanted to move up to 55 ball after a while. Well, we were playing 55 ball, and we wouldn't get much playing time. And Clyde just happened to walk by on the bench and said, you guys have tears in your eyes. Come on, you can come play with me. So we went to play with Clyde. About 2000, Glenn got hurt, and I started playing senior ball with Dave Beamer. And we played on different teams as a package deal. We played for Joseph Chevrolet, coached by Roy Hearn. Roy was unique. He was a different type of coach. Because sometimes in the seeding games, he would say, we don't want to win this game. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I figured it out. Then we moved on to Dayton legend, Gary Cummings. We played for him a few years, and they decided that they wanted to go younger. And Dave and I didn't know what it was to be released from a softball team. So we were released. Well, it just so happened that Cincinnati 60 team, coached by Gary Nyhuiser, was getting together, and Gary asked Dave and I if we wanted to play. And we played with Gary for a few years, but when we first started, we did not get off to a very good start. And Gary came up with the idea of going to a 3-man outfield on a 16-over team, and we flourished after that. To sum up all the friends that I made through the years, it was about 2000. My wife got sick and passed away. I had a 5-way bypass and was told I had prostate cancer. We just built a new house when a softball player came up to me and said, I know you just got a new house, and I want to take some of the stress off you. I will pay your house off, and you pay me back interest-free whenever you can. So softball friends and family really gave me a lot of reason to keep living my best life. And Jenny can watch me in heaven, not dealing with the heat. Thank you.
Inductee this afternoon will also be in the senior player category, Kathy Sowers of Cincinnati. At this time, we'd like to introduce some of Kathy's family members who are here this afternoon to share this special occasion. Please stand when I call your name. Kathy's brother and sister-in-law, Bill and Jill Sowers. her Aunt Lois Barnett, Aunt and Uncle Bob and Tony Getz, nephew Andrew Zilch, Kathy's niece Patrice and her husband Andrew Punyon. I got the last name right, not the first. Their children McKenna, Aaron, and Austin. Niece Clara Eileen Lawson, sister-in-law Judina Chase, and cousins Carl and Cheryl Adler. Anybody else here today to honor Kathy? We'd like you to stand as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Kathy Sowers. Here to share some thoughts about Kathy's career this afternoon is her longtime friend and teammate, 2011 inductee of the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, Reedy Fitzgerald.
Kathy has an unparalleled passion for anything softball or baseball. Her passion for the game has allowed her to collect many baseballs signed by some of the greatest Major League Baseball players of all time. She also has been very active in organizing and helping with the reunions for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, the league which the movie League of Their Own was based on. In her 20s, she played for the highly regarded Sidney Frisch's team, being named to several all-tournament teams, and was named MVP in ASA Ohio State qualifying tournaments. Also in her early 20s, she received her degree in education. Her softball playing days took a backseat to her career. For the next 25 years, she pursued her career as a teacher, high school coach, Ohio High School volleyball official, and Ohio High School track official. She still loved the game of softball and was anxious to play competitively again. Then one summer, when she was about 45, a friend of hers started playing on a senior team. Even though she wasn't old enough to play, she tagged along, just waiting to be old enough to play with the old big dogs. Most of us don't want to get older, but Kathy couldn't wait to be 50. Finally, she turned 50, and about the same time, the Ohio Cardinals 50-plus team was formed with the help of Coach Colleen Needham and player Jan Dieters. This newly formed team had some of the best players from Cincinnati and Dayton, and Kathy was a perfect fit for the new team. She played and practiced as though she would never be able to play again. She was such a good player at both infield and outfield, but at the senior level, outfielders with Kathy's skill level and hitting ability are hard to come by. She became one of the best outfielders and one of the best hitters in the senior game. The teams she competes against have so much respect for her that they ask her to play with them whenever the team is not playing. Kathy also has had difficulty with a rare eye disease, which became progressively worse over the past 20 years, and she has lost about 70% vision in her right eye. And amazingly, her hitting and fielding have never suffered. And maybe Kathy's teammates would have higher batting averages if they closed one eye when hitting. Her teammates love her, and she is always so positive and keeps them laughing. She certainly has earned this Hall of Fame recognition through her hard work and respect others have for her as one of the best. To a special friend and great teammate, congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kathy Sowers to the Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much for the kind remarks. Rumor was out that you were having a hard time trying to find something nice to say about me. Thank you. Mark and Diane, the Sorrento's Norwood Softball Hall of Fame Committee. Thank you so much. You go above and beyond putting this great event together. Thank you so much. I'd like to congratulate all the class of 2020 inductees. Congratulations. And I am overwhelmed by my family and friends. I want to let you know how much it means to me having you here and spending and sharing this special moment with me. I'm sorry. I'm nervous. I appreciate you coming. Coach Colleen, Gary Eigel, sponsors Mary Bolin, scorekeeper Karen Jones. Thank you for all you do. Coach Colleen, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to participate in the game I love. Thank you. And most importantly, I wouldn't be standing, and I am standing. I wouldn't be standing here this afternoon if it wasn't for my teammates, the Ohio Cardinals. We have been playing together for 20 plus years. The longevity is unbelievable. It's a very caring team, made great friendships, very supportive. If you take a look over at the table, you can see that all of our accomplishments, very successful achievements, awards. We have great players on this team. The stats are on the table. We've been through a lot. Knee replacements, broken bones, eye surgeries. Together we've got it done. You are my softball family. I love you. I would like to share just a few moments in my career. Some of them have been mentioned already. And as you know, most of you in here, what a pickup player is. And I think when I first started in my early 20s, I had to go to the courthouse to sign a release paper so that I could play on another team that qualified for the national championships in York, Pennsylvania. And that was like where I met some ball players that were playing on the senior level. And like I said, like Rini mentioned, I couldn't wait till I could turn 50 to play on senior ball. That was the greatest. Another memorable event was winning my first world championship ring. And if you take a look over at the table, there's more than 10 championships ring, but the first one is always the greatest. Also being inducted into Ohio's Hall of Fame in Cleveland in 2012. That was a great event. And now, this is a very, very special event in my life, being inducted into this Hall of Fame. I am so honored. And I'd like to end with this by saying, I will be so proud to be among the elite group when they ask for the past inductees to stand at your table. Thank you so much.
Crazy, I think. I'm looking. Our next inductee this afternoon will be in the Player Manager Sponsor category, Mr. J. Hopkins of Cincinnati, who's being inducted posthumously. At this time, we'd like to introduce some of Jay's family members who are here this afternoon to share in this very special occasion. His granddaughter, Amber Wolf, great-granddaughter, Brooklyn, and great-grandson, Evan. Jay's nephews, Roy and Brandon Hopkins. His niece, Sharonda Bird, great-niece, Nicole Hopkins. If there's anyone else here today, and pretty much everybody in pink, we invite you to stand as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Jay Hopkins. Here to share some of his reflections about Jay's career this afternoon is one of his former players and longtime team member, Mr. Bob Miller.
Who loves you, baby? Jay, as everybody knows, was a great man. Everybody's got a story to tell about it. I couldn't make it in 5 minutes, so I'm going to pick out a couple I liked. Jay loved softball. He loved it. I think he was man of the year down here. He would have loved to have been here. When he left here 2 years ago with me, he said he won't be back. He didn't make it. Jay, when you played for Jay, you got it all out of him. He was great. If you played against him, you hated him because you know he was going to bring his game. I've got notes here, but ain't no sense reading these notes because I just think the world of Jay. I was with him the day before he died. A few things about Jay. He would always take you out of town. You never had to pay a dime. Not one dime. Paid for your wife, your motel, even your food sometimes. I better not say that. Yeah, but he did. A couple times we were in North Carolina playing. We got done Saturday, and we were all walking on the beach right next to a motel that he got for all of us. Me and Jay were walking down the beach. All of them taking a shower. And you know Jay loved the women. You know he loved the women. Well, we come upon this young lady in a two-piece white outfit. And he says, we're going to talk to her. I said, you might talk to her. I ain't talking to her. Well, he proceeded to make a bet with her. If she would stay there another 30 minutes, and he'd bring his team from Ohio out here to take a picture of the beach. Well, he set it up. We waited. Now they come out, Red Ronnie Jones, Randy DeAnzas, and David Johnson, and a whole bunch more. And we're just looking and looking. Jay said, I bet $5 that Miller can go down there and talk to that girl. And old Red first, he put his $10 up first. So they all got their money, and Jay got it, said, okay, and I walked down there. She stood up, shook her towel, and looked at the guys. She said, can you hold me? I said, do what? Can you pick me up? You know, I said, no. Yeah, I'll pick you up. Then that's all it took. Here come Red Ronnie Jones and all of them. We got about $50 that day. I don't know what happened to the girl, but I know where the money went. There's one more I'll say about in Florida. I believe we was at a club eating supper, and our second baseman was over there with his wife. And well, me and Jay proceeded to talk to the orchestra and play Happy Birthday to Mr. Johnson. It weren't quite Mr. Johnson's birthday. So that was pretty nice of him, you know. Davey went along with it pretty good, yes. I don't know what else to say about the man. I love the man. You all love the man. Everybody knowed him in here. He could tell you a story, and from 85 to 81, every batter he knowed, every team he knowed. I was with him when he won the OVC. I was in the stands at St. Bernard in 1985, a team called Foxy Lady. And he beat the North Carolina Howards. He beat Pittsburgh. He beat all the top teams, yes. And he pitched. Jay was an awful good talker. Yes, I hope I'm doing him right. I missed the man as much as all. I'm going to let it go from here. But I appreciate you letting me talk this long for Jay Hopkins. Thank you so much.
And now to accept in his uncle's honor this afternoon is his nephew, Roy Hopkins. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jay Hopkins into the Sorrento Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
strike two. No free foul, so I'm gonna get out of here real quick. I thank everybody that, for all the support. Mark, you dealing with me for 2 years. That's kind of tough. You know, I'm honored just to be a Hopkins and him to be my uncle. That's it. Who loves you, man?
It's funny to see all these big guys sitting up here and shaking. Kind of fun. Not those guys, these guys. All right, our next inductee this afternoon will be in the male player category, and it's Gary Nelson of Cincinnati. This time we'd like to introduce some of Gary's family members and friends who are here today. So when I call your name, please stand up again. Gary's wife, Laurie. His daughter, Riley. Also want to acknowledge Gary's friend, the Honorable Sam Keller, the Mayor of Shivian. So all here. Very special occasion to have you here. Now, anyone else that's here to honor Gary, please stand this time. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends of Gary Nelson. Before I go on, I would be remiss here, Mayor, if I wouldn't. I've been here for about 32 years now. There's a little joint y'all had over there called Jaime's. We locked the doors on that place a couple nights, I'll tell you that. All right, here to share some of the reflections about Gary's softball career this afternoon, his longtime friend and former manager and sponsor, 2012 inductee of the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, Mr. Dave Watanabe.
Gary pitched for me for 9 years, from 92 to 2000. Perfect ASA kind of pitcher. He had this very slow, delivery. He held that ball up and said, "Here it comes. If you want to hit it, hit it at me. I'm going to field it." He was fearless. I watched him a little bit before I had him come aboard, and even when he came in, fearless. He took balls off his body like it was nothing. Foot, chin, thighs, tank. He, even off his noggin. I saw someone take that ball and ricochet it to the shortstop. I was just amazed, shook my head. He was very mild-mannered, easygoing. Unless you were an infielder that booted the ball, maybe an outfielder that misjudged one, let it sail over your head. At that point, you would see the wrath of G in the dugout, cornering the guy in a constructive way. There was never any physical abuse. It was always constructive criticism. And that fellow would probably not make that same kind of mental error or physical error the next time out. But he just did such a great job for us. And, perfect competitor at that time. There was, I really have to say, he was one of the best ASA pitchers in Cincinnati, which there was, you know, a good 2 or 3 of them. So, I mean, every team had a good ASA pitcher, I'm sure. But I'm just glad he was on our side. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Nelson to the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
All right. Thank you, Dave, for that speech. I didn't take those balls off my chest on purpose. I just couldn't get out of the way. All right. I'd like to thank Sorrento's for letting us come to in their place Friday night and kind of take it over. The committee, Mark and Diane Linneman, Todd Amy Sledge, Tom Taylor, my family, Riley, love you. And all my friends that came out today to support me, I appreciate all that. All the sponsors that I've played for, because without them we could have never gone to the places we've been to play. I was fortunate to play for some great coaches, and all the players that I've played with over the years, I mean, they were just awesome. I mean, you know, I couldn't ask for better players. That's the other reason I'm standing up here right now, because, you know, we wouldn't have won without them. That's about all I have. Thank you, and congratulations to everyone else that went into the
inductee this afternoon will be in the manager-sponsor category, Mr. Steve McCauley of Cincinnati. This time we'd like to introduce some of Steve's family members and friends who are here for this special occasion. Steve's wife, Tammy. His mother, Elizabeth McCauley. Sister, Kathy Redmond. His mother and father-in-law, Helen and Maurice Hamilton. And his niece, Beth Walker. Anyone else here today to honor Steve McCauley? We'd like to invite you to stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Steve McCauley. Here to share some of her thoughts about Steve's long career and one of his former players, a 9-time USSSA All-World Selection and 2010 inductee into the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, Teresa Shepard.
This does not get easier, I'll tell you that. Today, I have the honor to introduce not only a great coach, but a longtime friend and mentor in Sorrento's Hall of Fame, Steve McCauley. Steve has demonstrated what it truly means to be loyal to his players, coaching staff, and above all, as a coach, he put his players first. Through the softball world, Steve is known for his keen sense of humor and also his love of the game. I cannot go without saying that Steve is a man of many, many words. He is so excited right now to share with everyone his thoughts on going into the Sorrento's Hall of Fame. I can tell you one thing, he's sitting here sweating, reaching for his towel, wipe his forehead, and I'm sure he has to go to the restroom. But on a serious note, Steve was never a coach with a lot to say. He was a doer. He was a person, when our game was over, he was still at the field scouting until the last game was played. If we needed to get more information, there was Steve first thing in the morning, scouting to make sure that we had what we needed to have to win. He was relentless. He has coached and been part of many great teams at different levels here in Cincinnati and throughout the country. There is one team, though, Steve, I would like to talk about. In 1994, Steve assembled the first African-American team from Cincinnati, Ohio, where he sponsored and coached. He envisioned a great team, and he made it happen. As part of that team, we proudly played in the first Black World Series and won. We didn't receive rings that year, and the fanfare was little to none. But for Steve, it was not what was important. It was the fact that he started something that has taken on new heights beyond even his imagination. Steve was an innovator in the game, especially when it came to defense. 3-5-6, 4-3-5, 399. Nope, I'm not giving you my lucky lottery numbers. If you played against us, you knew what those numbers meant, because it was Steve yelling. He was putting us in the right position so we could make great plays. It was from all his hours of relentless scouting that he knew every player's hitting tendencies. He came up with a defensive system, and I'm sure we remember it. We won many games because we were defensively where we needed to be. Matter of fact, Steve made players like me Hall of Famers because he put me where I needed to be to make a good play. Yes, Steve was the innovator of the game of softball, but he was not long-winded. He was Mr. Statman. After the game, he would call you down to the coach's room, look at you and say, "Yep, you pretty much suck today." 4 pop-ups, an error, that's not going to get it. And he would laugh, and he'll say, "Do better tomorrow." That was it. It was short, sweet response. There was no fire, no fluff in his speeches. He would have your batting average for the game, for the tournament, for the year, sitting right there for you to look at. And boy, that's all you could do is look at, because nobody was allowed to touch Steve's scorebook. I can tell you one thing, I think he took better care of that scorebook than he did his wife Tammy and his summer wife Gloria. But on the other hand, Steve, I can't think of anyone that deserves the Sorrento's Hall of Fame more than you. There's so many women players and coaches that are in this room today that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame that you have coached and coached with. On behalf of these women, coaches, and other hundreds you have coached, and myself, I say thank you. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for taking a chance and showing us that the game of softball is a game, but there's so many much more life lessons to learn from that simple game that we've played for many years on the diamond. Thank you, Steve, for your continued support and encouragement in helping me believe that I can accomplish so much more on the field and in my everyday life. I owe you so much in my softball career. You encouraged me and you pushed me to be the best I could be. Steve, we love you and congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve McCauley for the Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
Everybody in here knows Mark has a lot of rules to be standing up here, but I think I found a loophole. Anybody hear me? Am I talking into the thing? I found a loophole in his rules. There's nowhere in there where he said I couldn't record my speech and play it off my iPhone. So, without further ado,
I'm sure you've heard that the Florence baseball team, named the Freedom, has changed their name to You All. So I'm going to use that phrase here today. Thank you all. Have a great night.
I couldn't do that. I just thought that up this morning. Now we're gonna see if I can do this. That would have been too easy. First of all, I'd like to thank my family for being able to allow me and my family business to do the travel that we were capable of doing, with my brother covering for me, and my wife for being there with me every step of the way. We had two great sponsors for our team, Don Pinder and Morris Cannon. I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and all the sponsors that are involved in this event. I knew I would never make it in the Hall of Fame as a player, And although I've watched a lot of the guys that were in here in the past, and they were great. But I did end up playing a little bit of ball down at River Star Park. Played in a tournament, first game, had a couple hits. Played first base. That was a lot of fun, back with my brothers and stuff. And I decided the second game I'd sit out. I sat out and I was coaching first base, and all of a sudden here comes a double play ball. And the throw was going wild. I jumped out of the way, pulled my hamstring, and figured, that's it. I don't need to be on this field anymore. So I was done with playing. That was when I started following a team called Whistle Stop up at Northside KFC. So if I had to thank every person that contributed to my success, it would be too long to read. However, I would like to give a special thanks to my sister for encouraging me to sponsor her team, Whistle Stop, at the time coached by Gary Frank. I sponsored and coached and scouted that team for the next 7 years, having a great time playing in the best league against some of the best teams in the country at Northside KFC. My greatest thrill was that our first year as Arrow Battery at River Star Park, we lost our first game, won 11 straight, ended up double dipping Sweetie Chevrolet, who happened to be Teresa Shepard, was on the team at that time, my announcer. And after doing that, we had to move up to A-ball. And once I got to A-ball, I was never going to go back. I loved coaching the higher up women that had a lot more, what do you call, skills and everything else that made the game a lot more fun. But after 1990, my team, coming to a team party at my house, they brought all their gear to my front porch and quit. I had nowhere to go. I decided, and so the word got around that my team disbanded, and I had phone calls calling and wanting me to come and help them. So I ended up with a team such as Salem Hawks, Kansas Illusions, and Kinder Sharks over the next 20 years. The strangest thing that ever happened was 1997, coaching Kansas Illusions in Nashville, Tennessee. Our sponsor, Mr. Cannon, showed up in a limousine and out popped the mariachi band. He was from Texas, and he brought his band with him. So during our game, all of a sudden they're behind the backstop playing mariachi music. You know, we didn't know to dance or play ball. So the umpires got, come over, talk to me. I had Bill telling us to stop. Mr. Cannon got upset. Wanted his band to keep playing. But that was one of the weirdest things that ever happened. In closing here, I would not be up here if it wasn't for the great players and people that I had the privilege of coaching and meeting along the way, of which 4 are in the Sorrento's Hall of Fame, 13 are in the USSSA National Hall of Fame, and 11 of them are on the USSSA Women's All-Time Team. I had the opportunity to coach with and against 2 Hall of Fame coaches, with Al Campbell, and against, anybody know? Colleen Needham. I miss the people, including you, Colleen. Thank you.
They say that Steve's a great defensive manager and stuff, and it's interesting, all the defensive shifts we have now in baseball. Clint Hurdle told me 2 years ago, he was the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates until this year, really good player himself. He said in the very near future, he really thinks that ball players are going to wear the Fitbit watches out in the field where they can direct you basically batter by batter where to go out in the field instead of having to call out $3.99 or whatever, or the pitcher turning around and giving you this kind of stuff. They just look at their watch and it tells you 3 steps left or whatever. It's absolutely amazing what they can do now. It's crazy. All right, I guess this next guy can hit a little bit. Our final inductee this afternoon is a male player category, Mr. Brad Reckhart of Trenton. At this time, we'd like to introduce some of Brad's family members who are here this afternoon to share this occasion as well. Brad's wife, Julie. 3 of his 5 children are here. Daughters Avery, Alex, and Charlie, and Avery's boyfriend, CJ, also here. Brad's mother and father, who has the fun ringtone, Sally and Rick Reckhart. It was Hank Williams on there. And Shane and Teresa Hatfield. If there's anyone else here today to honor Brad, we'd also like you to stand up this time. Ladies and gentlemen, the family and friends of Brad Reckhart. All right, back to the podium again to share some of his thoughts about Brad's exceptional career as his longtime friend and former manager and sponsor, Mr. Dave Watanabe.
So about a month ago, during the holidays, I went out to Kenwood Mall and Ronald Reagan to the Blue Ash Kenwood Road exit, I guess that is. But I'm at the stop sign and I see the Blue Ash, welcome to Blue Ash sign. It said, it's aspire, achieve, advance. And wow, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. That hit Brad's career to a T. And I just want to elaborate on a few of these items regarding those inspirational words on that sign. Aspire. I've never met a guy that played for me that loved it like Brad. I mean, I can look around this room, I know guys here that hit with Brad, but I think, Brad was one of those guys, didn't want to hit with too many guys, otherwise it cut down on his swings. So I think ideally, just so you can get the ball back in, he would find those 2 to 3 guys. But he might finish that 2 to 3 player session, and the next 2 or 3, I'm sure he'd jump in on so he could get more swings. Never knew a guy that loved it like Brad. And through that work, he just got better and better. And advanced, and his level of play just it's gone through the roof. The career's phenomenal. I thought looking at that bio there, I was reading Wegman's bio or something. But finally with Brad, I just know how he is. He's at the pinnacle, the top of softball today, in today's men's slow pitch softball, that I'm sure there is some other category pertaining to softball that he'll be able to find and excel in and look for, because he absolutely loves it. Thank you.
Please welcome Brad Reckhart into the Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Dave. A lot of you guys that don't know Dave or never got the opportunity to play with Dave, you missed out. In my eyes, I know there's some great sponsors in Cincinnati, obviously, but Dave was the best in my eyes. Not only was he a great sponsor, over years it's turned into a great friendship. Appreciate you, Dave. I'd like to thank the other inductees. This is a great class. It's such an honor to go in with a great group like this. Congratulations to each and every one of you. The Sorrento's Hall of Fame, thank you. The Lemons, the Hall of Fame committee, you guys continue to make this a top-notch event each and every year. Over time, I've been blessed to play with a lot of great sponsors and coaches. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I know each and every weekend to this day, I still try to tell, no matter who it is, I thank them. Because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. I know just a few, I started in C with BC's Alpine with Andy Stevens, EMR, the late Donnie Holden, Big E, and Mikey Westerkamp. Then with Watt and I'll be with Dave. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody else. Donnie, all in my know Donnie. I wish Donnie was here today. It's sad that he's not. PRI with Dan Feitner, Brett Kostoff. Premier Services with Kevin Fruitt. Thank you. Over the times, I've been able to play on some of the teams nationally as well, with some of the best players in the country. And it's been an honor to do that. But not only an honor to do with some of the best in the country, a lot of Cincinnati has some great players. If you look around, a lot of the guys in the Hall of Fame that stood up, I've had the luxury of playing with you guys and they call you teammates. It's been an honor to do that. You know, when I first started playing the MR, I thought the best player I ever played with was Mike Kennett. Now, you know, traveling around the country, Brian Wedman has taken over that spot. It's an honor to play with such great talent as that. And I like to, you know, I hope the feeling is mutual. It's been a pleasure taking the field with each and every one of you. My family, I got this game because of my dad, my grandpa, and my uncles. At a young age, man, we traveled around the country. You know, they even won a couple worlds back in the day, but at a young age, I was always at the ballpark. And I knew this was something that I wanted to do when I got out of high school and college. And, you know, when baseball or whatever didn't work out, you know, you play slow pitch softball. Shane and Teresa, you guys are family. We celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas together. There's not one other player in the country that I wouldn't want to play with than Shane. Even though we'd be the first to the park 30, 45 minutes before everybody else. As soon as that last pitch, boy, we was in the car heading home. You knew that. But man, there wasn't another player in the country that I wouldn't want to take the field with every time. Great player, my best friend, and an even better person. We both had the same goals and work ethic, and then we wanted to get better. A lot of my success is over you. Thank you. Now it's going to get hard. Mom and Dad, I had the two best parents anyone could ask for. Whether it was high school or college, they never missed a game. Now I'm sure if I gave my schedule every weekend, they would be there as well. But they had to help me out with a little bit with my kids, taking Drew and some of my kids' stuff that I've missed over time, taking them to tournaments. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I love you guys and thank you. My kids, you guys are everything to me. I know we talk about this a lot, and I'm going to miss some of your guys' stuff. Alex, don't cry. But I've always told you, if you wanted me to stop because I was missing some of your things, I would. But I appreciate you guys understanding and allowing me to do this, play the sport that I love. And even though sometimes I miss it, I try to make every single thing I could. I love you guys, thank you. My wife, Julie, first of all, thank you for everything you continue to do for our family. And thank you for allowing me to play this game that I love. I know it's not easy at times with travel and stuff like that, but thank you, I really appreciate it. And without you, that board, all the memories would be possible. I never took one picture. Me and him, he knows this, we never did anything, but we showed up to play, and that was it. Some of the trophies were in the garbage if we didn't win it. And even if we did win it, they probably went in the garbage anyway because we won the trophy at the time. We was playing to win rings. I love you more than you'll know. In closing, when I'm done playing, I'm going to miss this game. I really am. I'm going to miss the competition, but more, I'm going to miss the guys, the hanging out on the weekend, cutting up, prank phone calling people, the stupid stuff that everybody, that's silly, you guys do stupid stuff. That's the fun stuff. The games are what they are, that's what keeps you young, the competitiveness. But I'm going to miss the guys the most. You look forward to every weekend seeing the guys because you're with them, 14, 15 weekends out of the year. And that's going to be the hardest part about when I'm done playing this game. But I hope when it's all said and done, that everyone that I played with will remember not me as a good player or whatnot, even if you think I'm not or hard, someone that put it on the line every time we took the field. between the lines, you know, you was getting everything I had. And I hated to lose, and I would do whatever to win. And that's hopefully what I'm remembered for. Thank you.
Now, before we send you on our way, we'd like to introduce the Hall of Fame class of 2021. We'd like to ask each of you to stand and be recognized when I call your name. In the sponsor category, Jerry Backman. In the umpire category, Joe Ellis. In the manager sponsor category, Mike Folks. In the male player category, Darryl Hall. In the senior player category, Joan McGannon. In the senior player category, Earl Weatherford. And the male player category, Larry Wirt. Congratulations to the 2020. I would like to add one thing here too. Mark and Diane have been doing this for so long. They do such a great job. Now Todd and Amy kind of taking the banner from them. But thank you for having me out here. It's always a great time to come here and be with all you guys. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Before we finally get out of here for the day, there are some people I definitely would like to thank. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that makes an afternoon like this come together. I'd like to thank my fellow Hall of Fame committee members, of course, Mark Linneman, Andy Larkins, Brian Wegman, Bob Owens, Dave Maury, Robert Mahaffey, and Nikki Simowazalewski for your time and dedication when we meet and go over these things. Also our folks from Norwood Sorrento's, for their hospitality, and then the great staff here at the Radisson Hotel for all the things that they do. So we can come with a round of applause with all their help. Also, there's a lot of other things after today that you can remember this experience by. There is a Norwood Sorrento's Facebook page if you're on social media where all the pictures. For Rob and Fecky, I want to thank you for taking all the photos. Those will be uploaded, as well as Andy Larkins. Thanks for your time videotaping this. Andy does a great job where we time it out where you can find your particular section and watch that on your time. That's the Norwood Sorrento's Facebook page. Also like to thank Melissa Allhagen and Courtney Maury and Cassie Hatfield for your time today while I split the pot. Thank you very much. And then of course Diane Linneman and Myra Burwell, you guys at the front desk. And then I would be remiss if this guy every year, I know I'm organized, but this guy's more organized than I am. And the stuff that goes into this, this time of year we get busy with the holidays, but Mark, I do always appreciate the emails and things keeping me straight so that I can look the best to represent this Hall of Fame, for sure. And finally, Jeff, your time is always precious. Thanks for being here. You bring an aspect and professionalism to this that makes this event great. Now, Super Bowl squares, I know that those of you who bought those, we'll find a means that I think we can maybe post those on the Facebook page, but also I think we got one square left, Diane, is that correct?
Yeah, there's one square left. And Mark's, those little pink papers, Mark's numbers on there, so you can, or you can come down to the bar, and when we put the last name on there, we'll be picking the numbers, and we can take a picture of it.
All right, so Diane was saying on your tables there are a couple more things. There's a pink piece of paper that's got Mark's phone number on there. You can find what your Super Bowl squares numbers are. The actual second Hall of Fame banquet takes place in the bar here in the hotel. Afterwards, you can find out there where that drawing takes place. Also on your table is an envelope that we would appreciate if anybody would consider providing a donation to the Hall of Fame. There's so many different things that goes on with this that makes this such a spectacular event. Until I got involved a couple years ago, I didn't know that this event that we have is not duplicated across the country and how we honor these players. So if you have a few dollars you'd like to spare, there's an envelope on your table. You can put that in there and we'll collect that afterwards. So on behalf of everybody with the Sorrento's Greater Cincinnati Hall of Fame, thank you for coming today. Again, once again, a round of applause for all of our inductees and all of our new inductees. We got to get one more group of pictures for our newly inducted Hall of Fame members. I will meet you over here by the banner. And be safe driving home. Thank you, everybody.